a school in Dubai, and she's going to be talking with us about towards a meaningful, inclusive school environment and sharing some good practices with us from Dubai. I'm very excited to be moderating this session for you, Sheila, because I have a little boy myself, and I look forward to a lot of learnings from you. So over to you. You have a half an hour session, and please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Happy greetings of the day to all those who are attending this session from different parts of the world and different time zones. I feel deeply privileged and honored to be a part of this elite group of speakers and to be associated with WEF. And a term that I still remember that they use is soul sisters. When I first looked at the tagline, a very thoughtful tagline that they use for this particular digital summit, it says reconnect, reboot, reset, re-energize, and somehow I remembered the term restructure. When I tried to connect it with the topic that I chose to speak today, towards a meaningful, inclusive environment in school, restructuring, probably the thought was restructuring the way we are looking at inclusive education in school. Why inclusion? No, I'm not a trained inclusion practitioner, nor am I a special educator. But this very aspect of inclusion, when you talk about students with special needs and abilities, it's very close to my heart. That's probably the very thought of discussing or talking about creating a meaningful, inclusive environment in school came to my mind. Then the thought was, why do we say a meaningful inclusion or meaningful inclusivity in schools? Does it mean that the whatever is currently existing is not meaningful or purposeful enough? But then that's something to be debated and reflected on at a later stage. Now, a major part of my 25 plus years in the education sector, I spent in India. But today, when I reflect back on all those years as a teacher and in different leadership roles, I don't recollect having practiced any differentiated approaches, nor I remember having catered to the diversified needs of all types of learners. I don't remember guiding any of my students with special education needs. I don't remember referring any of my students to the inclusion department or going through their IEPs or any sort of individualized plan. Or does it mean that at that time we did not have students with special needs? Or is it that inclusion in education exists in print, or it may be a part of the admission policy to some extent, or maybe it is limited to creating few intervention plans or some educational plans in schools. But a study shows that almost 40 million students or children with special needs in India do not have an access to mainstream education. Now, if you look at a majority of Indian population living in the rural sector in villages, you can very well imagine what must be the plight of students with special needs. They might not be having any access to education at all. I think it is the last 5 years, my journey in Dubai, that probably exposed me to a lot of meaningful inclusion in education. I got opportunity to understand and implement a lot of meaningful inclusion in my school too. That one of the reasons may be because in Dubai, inclusion is taken very, very seriously. Schools are expected to provide opportunity for students of determination or the students with special needs, all the intervention plan. And these are, you have proper guidelines, and these are reviewed, inspected, and the feedbacks are given for further improvement. That may be one of the reasons that inclusion was also looked at from a very different perspective by myself. Now, inclusion is not an experiment to be tested. It is more of a value to be followed. It is a culture to be developed, an environment to be developed in schools. So when we talk about inclusion, it is something like a fine thread of compassion, kindness, patience, understanding, acceptance, and coexistence of all types of learners. It is creating this beautiful ecosystem in the school where you give opportunity to all types of learners to coexist. You can say it is equalization of learning opportunities to all type of learners. Now, when you talk about inclusion, it should not be limited to students with special needs. Though I will be talking here mainly about students with special needs. But when you talk about inclusion, you are talking about students who are having learning difficulties, low achievers, the mediocres, the high achievers, able, gifted, and talented students, and of course the students with special ability. So the entire look at the different types of learners is what we would say. So a meaningful inclusion is something that caters to the individual needs of students, that allows students to learn at their own pace, and also which is more a child-centered pedagogy or curriculum is applied. Now, but then everything is in the implementation. You can have a curriculum, you can have intervention plan, but how do you implement it in classroom in a more meaningful way is probably what is more important. Um, it is to be seen that in schools, ideally for a very healthy proportion, you should have anywhere between say 5 to 10% of students, the entire student population, at least 5 to 10% of students who might belong to the category of students with special needs and ability. Now that also shows that the school is more welcoming, the school is more open to accepting students with special needs and give them the learning that they so well deserve. But in actuality, you will find that the proportion, this percentage will probably be even less than 5%. And I'm sure, leaving aside some of the progressive schools that might look at inclusion in a more inclusive term, you might have schools that might not have even 2% of its student population with special needs and abilities. So what does that show? That probably schools are not very open to accepting students with special needs. Or is it that these students are supposed to be learning at the special needs center? But remember, we are depriving them of the mainstream education where they get an opportunity to mingle with the other students. And that is exactly what gets replicated in the society, where you give them an opportunity to be inclusive in the society. So, but on one side, you're talking about a small percentage of population or student population in school with special needs. But the question that you need to ask is, what about the majority of the students, 95 to 98% of the students who fall into the regular stream? Are we sensitizing them enough to understand and accept, and of course, respect the abilities, the differentiated abilities of their peers? You might have students, children with special needs and abilities, but are these students trained enough to understand and respect their peers with special needs and abilities? I think these are some of the questions that we asked ourselves in our school. When I say we, the team, along with the inclusion department, we had a lot of questions to ask. How do we make inclusion more meaningful in school? How do we take it out from the school also to the larger society and community? And that discussion gave birth to a very beautiful and compassionate program called My Buddy Helping Hands program. And that is the best practice that I'm going to talk about here. My Buddy Helping Hands program was initiated in 2016 after a lot of deliberation, a lot of discussion. The main thought was, how do we make inclusion more meaningful in our school? We identified students of grade 9 and 11. We felt maybe a more mature students who will be probably be able to train better. So we had these students who were trained to be buddies, and we call them the happiness ambassadors. So these students were trained and they became the buddies of the younger children, because most of our students with special needs and abilities were in the primary wing. So we made them the buddies. They were given the goals and targets, the individualized education plans, and with proper training and timetabled period, that is the peer mentoring sessions, we would call it. And these students would go into the classrooms and try to buddy with the students with special needs. So this was initially an intra-school program. We started it within the school. And of course, we had the initial challenges, the teething problems were there, especially students who were with the shadow teachers or whom we call the learning support assistants. It wasn't easy because they were so used to being guided by the learning support assistants that, but over a period of time, we started seeing the visible progress in these students. Now, at that time, our main aim was not numeracy and literacy enhancement. It was more of giving students the opportunity to develop their social and emotional skills, interpersonal skills. So this was the main. So you have a student buddying a student with special needs, and over a period you win over the confidence and help that child to have more self-confidence, more of self-awareness. So this turned out to be a beautiful program that we ran. But when this was going on, these happiness ambassadors also were given an opportunity by the school to undergo a volunteer or internship program in one of the special needs center, a center that only caters to young adults, children and young adults with multiple challenges. So we asked our students to go and volunteer and intern in this particular center. And the feedback that we got from them, the founders or the owners of this center, was very, very encouraging, because the way, the maturity that they expressed or the compassion that they exhibited was probably something they found it highly commendable. Now, this is something that gave us another thought. Why don't we go beyond the boundaries of inclusion in school and invite these young adults and children from the special needs center to our school? Give them an opportunity to experience what it is like to be in a mainstream school. Remember, otherwise they are more confined to a center because they have multiple challenges. They have multiple physical and emotional and cognitive challenges. But the moment you give them an opportunity to mingle with students, the typical neurophysical students, and give them an opportunity to be in a mainstream school. So that is when we invited them, around 15 to 20 young adults and children, to our school and started giving them training in sports, performing and fine arts. So we had these buddies, the happiness ambassadors that we call it, from grades 9 and 11, especially we take them. And these students buddied with the special needs students from the center. And again, we had the teething problems because handling students or children with multiple challenges wasn't easy. But with the constant training, we were able to bring in that confidence, bring in a very beautiful relationship. We could see of friendship, of confidence, of a trust that started building. And then when the word spread that the school is more inviting students of other centers, we had other centers also approaching us. So today we have two different centers of special needs, and those students coming to our school to have these regular sessions. And once in a week we have these sessions, which is timetable. It's a part of the almanac, and it normally happens after school hours. Now, as this program is continuing, we again had this discussion that how can we make it more meaningful? We already reached out to the society, to a community. That is when we thought about internship programs. Internship programs for these students or these young adults from these centers. Now, employability is a big problem. Now, to employ a person with special needs is not something everybody would like to take in. Now, the school took a decision that why don't we give them vocational training? Why don't we invite them to our school and give them internship opportunities? So here we go. We invited them and started training them in library skills, reception skills, and storekeeping. So another buddy program evolved here. So we had the receptionist who would buddy and start training a child in reception skills and in the library skills. Now, when all this was going on, look at the values that we are teaching the other set of students, the bulk of students in the school. We are telling them that this is the reality of the world around you. You have people with different abilities around you. You need to respect and accept them. So we create a value system, an ecosystem in the school where not only we are catering to the students with special needs, we are bringing in these young adults from other centers, but we are also creating a value system in the school for our students to understand that you need to respect the differently abled people of the society. Tomorrow they go out into the society. Look at the chain of network that they will be creating. Maybe some of them will be starting their own ventures and they might decide based on it, why don't I give employment to some people with determination or special needs? See, it gets cascaded. The effects get cascaded in a very positive way into the society. Now, once that internship program started, it all started in 2018. And in 2019, last year, we felt to make it more inclusive, we started providing these students an opportunity to be part of major events of the school like annual day and sports day. Now, I'm not talking about giving them an opportunity to present an item separately. Now, that is exclusion. That's not inclusion. The beauty of it is when you make these students coordinate and be a part of the programs, and then they perform side by side with our students. So what emerged during the last annual day program was a very, very emotional, a very touchy, and a very meaningful program that we had, where we saw students from both these centers dancing or singing or performing alongside our students. Look at the level of confidence that we are giving them, making them understand that you are no less different from the others, making the regular students understand they are no less different from you all, just that they are specially wired, they're separately built, so well set. So I think this continues, but now what are we doing? We are looking at providing employment to these people. Yeah, we are looking at providing employment. You have something to,
Yeah,
you
yes,
want to
I
remind
do.
me of the
Can
time?
you hear me? No, I don't. I actually want to ask you something because this, what you're doing, is something which is so close to my heart. I look
Yes.
at employability of the All Ladies League, and I've been working with differently able people in Bangalore,
How
where
nice.
we were trying to train autistic people to learn hospitality skills because I work with a hotel company.
Yeah.
And I think one of the challenges which we found when we were trying to get them employed in different places was bringing in that culture, exactly what you try to do in your school. So it'd be great if you can tell us what you did to actually encourage the children to accept these differently able people or differently challenged people, and what kind of trainings did you do? Because actually we are struggling with that. We train them, but the corporates don't accept, like, people don't know
I,
because they've not studied in schools like this. So if you
I
could share with
totally
us.
understand. I
Yeah.
totally understand. That's where I said that inclusion needs to be a value. It needs to be a culture. It cannot be a one-time, something that is in the curriculum or textbook. It needs to go beyond that. It needs to be a way of life, a way of education, actually. Now, in our school, how do we sensitize, or on a very regular basis, how do we bring about this atmosphere of inclusivity? Is that one is that we have a well-being program woven across the school, wherein you have restorative circles, a lot of counseling sessions. We have well-being programs for students, parents, and teachers. And then almost all the assemblies that we have, we encourage students of determination, at least from every class, wherever you have, to take a center stage, either perform, either speak, or either address the audience. So you see, today, if you have a student, coming to the school on a wheelchair, you will not have students of Ambassador School staring at them or rushing to help them. They know how to respect. They will value and respect the self-esteem and pride of that child. It's again a lot of culture being developed, constant talk. You invite people to talk. We invite a lot of people with who achieved in the field of special needs and abilities to talk to our students. We have a lot of these programs, so it is not one time affair. Just imagine you have 1 month long annual day practice going on, where you have students of determination standing next to you and practicing. Look at, it's a culture. It's a culture that gets over, and it doesn't happen overnight. Like I said, we started this in 2016, and we slowly started seeing the impact of that over a period of time. So when our students go out, are invited to volunteer for Alzheimer's group, we have, our students are a part of a group here called Forget Me Not. That's with, people with old age with Alzheimer's. So again, it shows that because you are a part of that culture in your school, in the education system that you have, you become more sensitive. So today, when you have a person with special needs sitting in the library and giving you books and entering, our students don't get surprised or taken aback. Why is it that? Because they have accepted it. So it's again something that over a period you weave it into your system. It has to be a culture. So today, when we are talking about going to create employment opportunities, that's exactly, you need to walk the talk.
Yeah.
When we're talking about creating tomorrow, of course, because of all this crisis and things going upside down, we couldn't do this year. But the moment schools are back to normal, we will have few of these young adults with special need being employed in our school, maybe for a short duration, maybe on a smaller stipend. But look at the self-achievement that it gives them, that feeling of acceptance that give them, that I'm capable of earning my own, I'm capable of taking care of myself. Now that's I think probably what true sense or true meaning of inclusion is all about. And I think for us at Ambassador School, with an excellent team of inclusion, leadership, and the teachers, we give constant training to the teachers. It's
Yeah.
extremely important. And another, we have a lot of session for parents. We have
Yeah.
a special group of parents called Synergy. These are
Okay.
parents of special needs. So we also give them that hand holding and emotional support that needed. And also for the other parents, we are continuously telling them, you need to have that conversation with your child at home, that your child might be sitting next to a child having emotional meltdowns, but you need to help your child understand that's what the world is about. Tomorrow he or she goes into the bigger world, and the need to respect and accept people with all differences and ability. So something that started as a very small thought, answering a lot of questions, debating, led to a beautiful, movement that later became a culture and a value system of the school. And but what makes that for me probably is what I would call a meaningful, inclusive practice or environment in school. When you move out of the school boundaries, reach out to the society, embrace a community, and make an inclusive society. I think everything is like a seed. Even this thoughts on inclusion, it's like a seed. You put that into the
We are
right
coming a
soil.
little closer to the
Yeah,
end of the session, and I have a question, so I don't want to
you
miss
can
out
ask.
on this.
You can go ahead.
One of the
Just to
audience
wind
has
up.
asked, can
Yeah.
autism matured kids who are out of employment?
Can you please
Can you
repeat?
hear
I
me?
think your voice was breaking. Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, can autism matured kids who are out of employment scope under your wings? Uh, can the children who are autistic come under your wings? It'd be a question even from my side because I work with autistic people.
Yeah. See,
Do you actually get them? Yeah.
we also have students with multiple physical, emotional, cognitive challenges. We have students with, on autism spectrum cases in our school. So we have seen these. Of course, they are at a younger age, but if we get an opportunity to train a young adult or give an opportunity for internship or vocational training in our school, we'll feel blessed. We'll feel blessed about that. We are
So
ready
nice,
to
Sheila,
share our thoughts.
because we've been struggling to get people to actually train more than employ, because you need to have certain skills. The trainers need to be first convinced. So I was just trying to teach them how to wipe a plate in a hotel. And it took me almost 3 weeks to get that right with the kids. But once they do it, they're perfect. Then nobody else can be better than them.
See, we need to inculcate, we have to have that faith in us, to build that faith in them. So that's so extremely important. I
Yeah.
think I will be happy to reach out, we'll be happy to help. That's what, we are discussing. That's what the school's
Yeah.
culture is all about. Uh,
So one more question has come. Can autistic children from India have some opportunities in India? So I don't know if they can come to Dubai, but I can say that, there is a scope for any repetitive job in corporates that we should look out for. So if you're interested, please write to our help desk, and Sheila, I'll reach out to you, and
Please,
we will help
anytime.
out, because this is, I think it's special to both our hearts. And before I must thank you for letting me moderate your session, because I wasn't aware of your topic. I'll be very, very honest. And this is something that I work very closely. This is my favorite weekend job. And off late, I haven't done much work, but I will catch on with you and we'll make it
Thank you,
happen back
Priya.
here.
Then I
Yes.
should say I'm lucky
No.
because I got a moderator who perfectly understands
No,
the
I do, and
sensitiveness.
we'll make something work together.
I'm
And
sure.
whoever's in the audience, if they want, they can reach out to our help desk, and we both can work with them together. For all the work that you've been doing, Sheila,
My
we'd like
team,
to.
Priya, my team.
So your
It's a
team
team
is
effort.
going to be
Yeah.
applauding for you, and we're very happy to confer the all award to you for the brilliant work that you've been doing. It will be a virtual award which will be coming to you, and much deserved for the incredible work that you've done. There's an audience which is applauding, but I can just make you hear my applaud, and thank
So
you so
much,
much for the
Priya.
work you've done.
Thank you
God
so
bless you.
much. Thank you so much,
We'll be
Priya.
in touch.
I'll be in touch. I'll be
Yes.
happy to be in touch.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sheila. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Kriti, have you joined? If you could unmute yourself and if you can put on your camera, please. Hi, I could see you briefly. I can't hear you, Kriti.
Hi Priya, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Would you like to put on your camera so we can see
Just
you
a
also?
second, please. I'm so sorry for the glitch. Uh, this pandemic is teaching us a lot of things.
So I did see you yesterday talking to an acclaimed lawyer in Delhi,
Yes,
and
Dr. Lalit Basin. Yes.
yes, and it's lovely that I am your moderator today. I'm part of the All Ladies League Forum, and in my real time, I work with a hotel company, the Indian Hotel Company, and I'm happy to be your moderator today. We
It's such an
also
honor.
have we also have another lady who's to join us. So while she comes in, I'd just like to give a brief introduction and get you started so that you don't lose out on your time, because the time is a constraint. You would be talking on owning your accomplishments towards a self-worth. And Kriti is here with us for all our audience to know. She is a legal strategy and an investment consultant. So quite a varied scope that you have, Kriti, at a very young age. And you're based in Mumbai.
Right.
So brilliant to have you on the session. You have 15 minutes for your talk. So please, I hand over the mic to you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Priya. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and a very good evening to the Women Economic Forum. I am very honored and I feel privileged that I'm getting to express my views with everybody today. And as you said, you know, I still have a lot to catch up with the wonderful ladies who are doing wonderful work. And the time, whenever I look at all of you, I realize that there is so much to be achieved. So I'll take over. And the topic for today is self-worth. So I'm going to talk about owning your accomplishments and how to be conscious about self-worth. So we all know that, how much we put in an effort as an individual for having that big win, or, trying to master or ace the big test, or learn a piano lesson, or maybe at times we try to beat our own personal score. So how many times most of us do we pat our back? Have we ever done that? And so many times, out of humility, or the culture we come from and the kind of background we have, we forget to tell ourselves that this is attributable to us. There are internal factors which are governing it. We have put in so much of hard work. And do we ever take a victory lap? Do we ever tell ourselves that we are proud of ourselves, or do we just quietly move on? So that's what is very intriguing. And I think given the kind of circumstances we are in, the pandemic, and everyone is kind of living in a shell, however we are all connected, of course, and the kind of pressure today every individual has about looking good, and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the Twitterati, as they call it. So there is so much of pressure of the externalities looking perfect, whereas very few are conscious about how we are aligned, like what goes within. And that's why, at a practical perspective, we see so many cases of depression and suicides, which is so unfortunate given the kind of life we have access to, the kind of technology, the kind of education. I have been fortunate enough to write books and to go to study at Oxford, and I have pursued a dual degree, and at times even I have questioned myself as a human being if I was worthy. So there are so many things which we as humans forget to accept, like how many of us are good at accepting a compliment? I read this article, it was a very beautiful article, which said that even if you are bad at accepting a compliment, there is a great, effect, a psychological effect of self-praise on a human mind. I read this study which said that one individual, a normal human being, has 70,000 thoughts per day. And 80% of that those 70,000 thoughts is that of the past. This is such an interesting study. And I have observed that there are chances when you might just go to a friend and you might talk about how well you have done in a particular test, or a particular phase of life. But at times when during times like these, although we are all connected on Zoom, we have a platform. So for example, we have a platform like WEF. So, but people who are lonely, who are quarantined, there's no harm in patting your own back and telling yourself that you have done well. and there is a powerful impact that can create on your life. And there's another study which I want to talk about. I think because we are talking about self-worth, it is very important that we understand how many times we confuse narcissism and self-praise. So self-praise is something where you have put in an effort, you have dreamt, you have put your thoughts together, and then you actually perform to achieve what you want to accomplish. Unlike, narcissism or bragging, where you are most of the times trying to hide your securities through words. So a lot of difference. And that's where it is important that we understand that there is a requirement to tell yourself that, before you can win, you should know that you are worthy. And no one should be able to take that away from you, because that is what your core is. It is very important that we realize as humans, as women, as mothers, sisters, daughters, wives, that there is so much which goes into that self-conscious belief of the powerhouse you are, even if people say that you are not meant to be. And that is why it's very important that whatever you do and whoever you do it for, we acknowledge the fact that this is not happening because of external factors, but the internal powerhouse you are. And there is another very interesting aspect which I wanted to talk about at the WEF forum today, because we are celebrating women and we are celebrating, the sisterhood in totality. It's very important that we will find, ourselves lonely at times. There will be missing pieces and we'll be confused about how to go around it. So it's important that we learn the idea of how many variants of self actually exist. Self-love, self-confidence, self-respect, self-acceptance, and every self has a unique finding, meaning, and purpose to it. And it's so important that we understand the self and the idea of what life is, and the idea of why we choose our actions, or why we should live a life where we evolve in every step we take. And that's really important. And self-compassion is very important. Accepting the accomplishments is something which not all of us actually do. There is something I think is very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. There is a concept called imposter syndrome. I don't know how many of us would know about it, but it's about who we attribute our success to. And more than men, there are times when women are more, they fall victim to this imposter syndrome, where their accomplishments are attributed towards, the parent or the husband or another external factor, maybe fear of losing, fear of failing. And that is where we have to understand. And I'm telling you, after doing a little research around it, that women fall prey to this more than men, that we attributed to external factors. And that's where we have to be aware that our achievements have to be around the consciousness model. There are 3 models, the 3 pointers which can help us, fight the negative thought process. One is, owning your own success. You have to own it. Every success, even if it is seemingly minimal, we have to understand that it needs to be acknowledged. And The second one is the focus on your dreams, the consciousness that we as individuals have to be aware of what we want, and the fact that we are performing or contributing to achieve what we want is very important, to be self-conscious. And the last one is, because I do not want that we live in a bubble. So instead of creating a euphoria, we should always be conscious that there is a possibility of defect. So you should just not completely dismiss doubt. The time you are aware that there is a possibility you may go wrong, you will do it better. So that is the whole idea, and I really thought I should talk about this. It is important because most of the times women actually fall prey of not being able to acknowledge how much hard work we put in. And even if we are talking about gender fluidity, which I completely believe in, I still think that it's a long way to go. And you, apart from anyone else, deserve your own love the most. And that's how it should be. That's where individuals should build their own blocks. And the time they learn to understand that we in ourselves are complete, a lot of our battles will be won. And I'm saying this because I chose this topic because I have fought my own battles. I have fought my own demons. And it was important for me to share the journey which I have had, where you will fall, you will get up, you will have to take 2 steps back for the bigger leap. So all this has happened, and it is, at a lot of levels, building your own ecosystem, the right way you see things. It's very important not just to know what is, but it's also eminent that you know why you are doing, or why your actions should be structured in a way which streamlines everything in the right, fruitful, evolutionary manner.
Kriti, our second speaker has not come in. You've been bang on time. And
Right.
I think the topic you've chosen is, it's actually very close to, I'm not sure if it's, I'll say for all audience, but for a lot of women. And I'd like to come in here. I would like to say that what you've spoken, it's not enlightening. It's basically, as women, you're right to say that, we're very harsh on ourselves. We really undermine ourselves, and I find it strange when we don't want to be nice to ourselves. And I don't know if it's an Indian behavior, but we don't like to accept a compliment. Somebody say, "Looking gorgeous today," wo line maar raha hai mere ko. It's not always the case. The other is, you're right to say that, am I obsessed about myself, or am I just saying, man, Kriti, you did a damn good job. Priya, good work done. We'll never say that, because we're always looking for others to compliment us and say good things to us, which I don't sometimes, maybe you and I do that. But I think it's an important aspect that you brought out today, for all of us to start looking within. I follow Advaita. The God is residing inside. And if you cannot connect with yourself, if you can't think that Priya is beautiful and is a wonderful person, nobody else will. And how does it really matter? The other part which is so important is, and it's interesting to hear about this imposter syndrome. I have not heard about it. And I think we need to sometimes start doing some self-introspection. Instead of asking others to tell us, ask ourselves. And there are times when, you're being negative, you get the negativity towards you. So in Buddhism, it is about saying that, the universe will stand next to you. Now you need to ask whatever you want. So ask for good, it'll come to you. Ask for bad, it'll come. And yes,
it's all about the energy.
Yeah, and it's tough times. It's times today where I know that we're all going through it. We get into because we see things going wrong.
Right.
Like, yesterday just driving out because we were all at the command center. The feeling of just driving around in the city because I came out after a long time, it was not a very positive feeling. Now it's up to me to get sucked into this negativity or to believe, okay, it's not so right. There is something wrong which is going on, anyways. We all accept it. But I should not let it come into me. And that's how I'll remain positive. Um, we have time. If you'd like to talk, I would like you to share something because you've done so much. You've actually spoken something which is not your professional speech. You've spoken something which is very personal. So, if we have this time, I'd like to request if you can share something more with our audience because personal examples actually enlighten whatever you've spoken about right now. So, we have another 10 minutes. If we can have this conversation, it would be great.
Absolutely, Priya. Why don't we make it a, let's make it a discussion session. Let's contribute together and talk
Of
about it.
course. So, I can only say that I think there are a lot of times that I get sucked into what exactly you said about self pride, looking for somebody to acknowledge me,
The
to say,
validation. Yeah.
yeah, and it could be in professional and personal life. Like I look at my husband to say, Khana kaisa bana hai? And he's like, yeah, it's good. That's why I'm eating it. And I'm wanting him to praise me. He's not going to praise me because he's eating the food and he's taken it for granted. Now it's up to me to say, okay, great, he enjoyed the meal and that's why he didn't complain about it today or actually expect him to say wow great food. He's been married for 20 years, he just he can't handle it anymore, keep on praising me. So I don't know what's your take on this thing of expecting people to constantly praise you because we all do that. And I don't know why we have that expectation. Somebody says nice things to us, we feel nice. If somebody says something bad also, we start taking it to our mind and our heart.
True, very true, Priya. So I personally think that this is the way we are conditioned. So since the time we are born, every time, it begins from our parents, our mother praising us for behaving ourselves. Maybe it's the conditioning they do. It's a psychological way of making sure that we fall within the line. But as we grow up, we are in school, we go for higher education. There are friends. There is the society which is looking at you, and at a lot of levels, there are people who you get used to judging you, and that helps you become the person you are. But that is a very risky channel compared to how you can consciously develop a personality where even if the external factors are there to judge you, their negativity does not affect you internally. So external judgments, as I said, Instagram, everything is, beautiful, like rainbows and unicorns, but only how many people would know what's actually going on. And
Yeah.
you know uh, and the moment, and this is not something new, as you said, this is
Yeah.
nothing new which I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's just that we have to make sure that internally we build ourselves as a system, as a powerhouse, that the external factors are just there as part of our checklist to be a better version of us. We cannot let those external factors break us. So those external judgments and or that kind of validation should only be used to improve the person we are, using the consciousness that their validation is not really important. Our behavior. So for example, if I'm in Europe or I am around somebody who does not understand English or does not understand my ways, who doesn't understand that I eat with hand, as simple as that. If I want to be a part of that society consciously, if I consciously want to be that, I will have to change my ways of working. So you change because you consciously want to, because there is a purpose behind it, and that is all what matters. And while you do it, again, the concept of self is very important, because the moment we forget that we are the most important thing. We are our own universe. This world is a harsh place. And I'm sorry I'm using this word, but at the end of the day, this is a concrete jungle. And there are monkeys and there are different kind of animals around. There are rabbits and there are, like there is a mix. And it's very important that you protect yourself, you protect the energy you are. So I was talking to a monk a couple of years ago. This is again in Oxford. And he said it's very important that you save that child within you, that energy. And it is not for others to exploit. It is for you to stay who you were. That is your core. And that is what matters. And this is why it is important that you keep telling yourself that I am special as a person, as a human I was born as. And especially as a woman, there is so much which I give. And as I said, it is a gender fluid world. We respect and we honor LGBT communities. We are accepting what is. But while we are accepting these different disruptive situations and events which are happening, the coronavirus, we have to be aware of, how to stay protected. And mind is a very funny system. It is a very funny organ, the brain. Like people say that, the pancreas, you should see how the pancreas bacteria, the gut bacteria affects your mind. So there are so many internal factors I'm talking about. Like, there are things which may not look important, but they are still so important inside of you as a human. And then there is a battle which is to be fought outside. And while you do it, it's so important that you consciously do it right, because it's not for them. And the way we are conditioned, the validation is always because they liked it. My behavior was governed because a third party likes me to be what I am.
You're talking about the mind. The mind is many times considered to be those many horses, and the charioteer is yourself. Is it
Right.
your heart? Is it your being? So do you have a control over those horses or not? Because the time when you're sleeping and you suddenly get some thought in your mind and your sleep goes astray and you get up and you're not able to get back your sleep, that was just because this mind is now fooling around with you. It's telling you you're looking bad today. See how that person spoke to you. This is not right. Things are going to go wrong. This coronavirus is going to kill all of us. We're all going to be dead. So this mind keeps playing all these nasty things with you. So you want to let it control you. God bless you. You want to say, okay, Mr. Mind, you are there to sometimes help me with rationalization. But yes, I am in control of this whole situation. It makes such a huge difference. It's interesting, but I think it's got to come from within, Kriti. This is
Absolutely.
got to be the grace of the divine for each one of us, that we can actually find the strength from inside. And my only request would be to the Lord that He gives all of us the strength, because times are not nice. There's so much fear. There is so much of, and I think a lot of people are behaving strange. So, now, like the last few months, I've been reacting to that behavior. And I've just
Right.
started seeing, okay, why is this happening? Because we don't know what's going, exactly what you said, what's going on in the back. What's happening on Instagram and Facebook is very, very different from what actually is happening in real lives. And maybe we all, whoever has some stability, please be patient. And who doesn't have, needs to do. My suggestion would be try and do some self introspection, do some meditation if you can learn it. That's the only way you can find your peace. Otherwise, there's no nice medicine to have there. You can listen to lectures, but it's got to happen from inside. So you have to build it for
Very true,
yourself.
Priya.
Yeah.
So I have this theory. I believe that there is no knight in shining armor who's coming to save you. You are your own knight. You have to save
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Very, very true. And I think you need to have faith in yourself. I won't say you need to have an obsession with yourself, and you got to be good to your own self. Like a lot of times, some of my friends say, it's time you started loving Priya, because that is your best friend who is going to be with you all your life and you're going to stay on. So love this self, which is very, very blessed. We are grateful that we have a good life given to us by the Lord. And you're born as a woman, which I think is the most beautiful thing that happened to me. Can't
We
imagine.
create the magic. We create
Yes, we
it.
do. And I think we make a difference in whichever life we go into. So let's spread the positivity. And it was great talking with you, Kriti. I'm glad.
Absolute pleasure,
I'm.
Priya.
It's sad Rugaria couldn't join us, but I think we got to have a little chat. I don't know if there are any people who enjoyed the chat as much as I did, but for the great work that you're doing, and we would like to confer a small award for you from the Women Economic Forum of being the iconic woman creating a better world in all. So thank you so much, Kriti. You're going to be
Thank you.
getting a virtual award. If you need a hard copy, you just need to write back to us. And much, much deserved. Stay blessed, stay positive, and spread the positivity you're giving to everybody.
Thank you,
Take care.
Priya. It's an honor. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.